talking about Jesus, the Messiah, the King, his arrival, his coming in history, the glory of the incarnation, God becoming a man, God becoming king. My favorite gospel of all the gospels is the gospel according to John. I wasn't raised in a Christian home, and I wasn't raised under the hearing of the gospel. I wasn't raised going to church. And when I first heard the gospel, I actually received a little package that gave me some basic memorization verses, and it gave me one of the New Testament books, and it was the gospel according to John. And my first month after really hearing the gospel, I read this gospel over and over and over. I just was overwhelmed by it, and it's so intimate, and it's so beautiful, and it has so many amazing promises about salvation, about Christ keeping us, about Christ never losing us. It is really my favorite gospel. It really always has been, and I think it always will be. But in particular, it's how it opens that is so awesome. You see, when you read the gospel according to John and you start in chapter 1, verse 1, you hear some very familiar words, and here's what it says. In the beginning. Now, to any Jewish person, they're obviously very familiar with that. Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, and the first book we have in our canon is Genesis, the book of the beginning. And that book itself begins with the words, in the beginning. And we know how it finishes. In the beginning, God created. But John does something different here. He takes those familiar words about the creation of all things, and he now does something different. He says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things are made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. You can hear that beginning story of Genesis in these words, only now you're hearing an explanation that goes far beyond what we understood in the book of Genesis at the very beginning. We're hearing the story of Jesus, who existed from all eternity. Actually, in the original language, it's enarche and hologos. That's as far back as you want to go with no reference point to stopping. The Word was already there. Jesus is pre-existent. Jesus is eternal. He has always existed. And then it says, and the Word was with God. Again, in the original language, it actually is pretty powerful. It's deep. It's intimate. The word there for was with God is proston theon, toward God, or face to face with God. So, John's telling us in the beginning, Jesus is already there, forever ago. And he was always in face-to-face, intimate relationship, fellowship with the Father. And here's the epic end to that one verse. And the Word was God. Jesus is God. And John goes even further. He says, he was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him. Jesus created all things, and without him was not anything made that was made. That's who Jesus truly is. This baby in a manger, this baby in the womb of this young woman, Mary, this is the creator of Mary. This is the creator of the earth. This is the creator of the process of reproduction. This is the creator of the galaxies. This is the creator of the star that guides the wise men. This is the creator of the wise men. He created everything. All things created by Jesus Christ. And then it says in verse 6, there was a man sent from God whose name was John. This is John the Baptist. He came as a witness to bear witness about the light, that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to bear witness about the light, the true light which gives light to everyone who was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him. So there it is again. And it says, yet the world did not know him. He came to his own people, to his own, and his own people did not receive him. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness about him and cried out, "This was he of whom I said, he who comes after me ranks before me, because he was before me. For from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God," that's the Father, "the only God who is at the Father's side, he has made him known." You can see so many glorious truths here about not only the incarnation, but the Trinity itself, the distinction in persons between Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, that Jesus created all things, that he always existed. So many glorious truths here. But it says, no one has ever seen God, the only God who is at the Father's side, he has made him known. This only God who is at the Father's side, this only God who created all things, and without him nothing was made that's been made. This only God who brings light where there is darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. This only God became flesh and dwelt among us. He tabernacled among us. Do you guys remember at the beginning of this series, I talked so much about, and I kept repeating myself on purpose, I talked so much about direct prophecy, prophecy about his person, prophecy about where he was coming from, the timing of his coming, how he would die, that he would rise again. I then emphasized the symbolism of the Old Testament. Not only the dress rehearsals, like with Abraham and Isaac, his son, and of course the Passover lamb, but there's also the symbolism of the temple. The temple itself represented God's presence in the midst of his people. They were told to build this temple. There was a holiest place, a holy of holies, represented where God's presence was. There was a veil there that separated the people of God from God because of their sin. You had a priest that would go in and offer sacrifice for the sins of the people, and there was just this repetition, and this repetition, this city, this temple symbolizes God with his people. And now the big day has arrived. The big day of what that was all pointing to in the first place. This is what it all meant. God tabernacling among his people. God with his people. Only Jesus, the true temple, he tabernacles among us. God becomes man and he walks among us. And with Jesus, the temple, we are all joined together with him, and we have access to God. Because Jesus is also the priest who offered himself with a once-for-all sacrifice that perfects forever those who draw near to God through him. Now we have what it all was pointing to in a rudimentary way. We have it all because we have Christ, God with us, God tabernacled among us. This is the glory of the incarnation. It's powerful. The everlasting God condescending to be with his people, to save them from their sins. That is what Christmas is all about. Let earth receive her King. Merry Christmas, everybody.